Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today's topic is the narcissist's worst nightmare in court. One question that can turn the court against them. What do you think it is? I'm going to tell you in this video, and I'm going to reveal today something truly powerful, what I call the narcissist's worst nightmare. That one question that can completely turn the court against them. Yes, there is one single question that when asked at just the right moment, it can expose the narcissist for who they truly are, leaving them to scramble, leaving them disoriented. This strategy, when used correctly, can be a game changer in court, and I'm going to walk you through exactly how to use it. So let's dive in. You have to understand the power of how to get there in the first place. So let's figure out how to do that, and understanding how that right question can have such a devastating impact on a narcissist in court. Narcissists are masters of manipulation, and they thrive on controlling the narrative, right? And they want to have their image as everything, and they want to control the narrative, and they want themselves to look like the perfect ones. They're the ones who are either the victim, they have the best reputation, and you're the one who's the liar, you're the one who's the problem, or whatever it is. They're controlling it all. But when you have your documentation, everything lined up, and you've got your summaries, the way that you've laid it out, the questioning, the way that you've laid it out, all of your facts, everything laid out, and you've done your due diligence, and you've spun it properly, it forces them into a corner. And this is where a carefully constructed facade starts to crumble. Now you start to see all these contradictions. And if you've done depositions, you see contradictions. You've done your direct testimony, they've done their direct testimony, you've done cross-examinations, you've done okay, now all of the evidence is starting to come in. This starts to not only put them on the defensive, it starts to expose their lack of integrity to the court, because now things are going to start to come out. So this is when you can start to think about asking this question. So what I'm going to tell you is, I'm going to tell you the question, and then I'm going to tell you how to use the question effectively, and I'm going to tell you how to prepare your evidence to get you there, and I'm going to tell you what to expect from the narcissist as far as how they're going to react. So once I tell you the question, stay on the video, because I'm going to give you more on what to do around it. Okay. What's the one question? The one question is, can you explain why your version of the events differs from all of the documented evidence that's been offered here? The question is simple, but it's incredibly effective. Narcissists often rely on their charisma and confidence to sell their lies. But when you directly confront them with contradictions between their words, their charisma, and all of the stuff that they use, and evidence, hard evidence that's been presented, that's been entered into evidence as evidence by the court, they're forced into a position where they have to reconcile the two. Now, this is something that they're not usually prepared to do. They have to maintain their illusion of perfection, and it's clashing with the reality of evidence, and their cognitive dissonance leads them to a meltdown in the court. Now, before we go any further, I want to remind you to download my free Crush My Negotiation Prep Playbook to get started at winmynegotiation.com, filled with strategies and tools to help you get started, to prepare for any negotiation, especially when you're dealing with a narcissist. If you're looking for more support, make sure you join my free private Facebook group, Narcissist Negotiators with Rebecca Zung. It's a whole community of people there ready to support you on your journey. So how do you use this question effectively? You want to deliver this question for maximum impact. So timing is everything. You want to wait until the narcissist is confident. You want to wait until they've delivered all of their convincing lies. You want to wait until all of their evidence is in, all of the cross-examinations as much as possible. And then with calm composure, you present your evidence, you ask the question. The goal is to catch them off guard on cross-examination so they don't have time to prepare a lie or to spin the situation. When done correctly, this question can lead to visible signs of distress. They're fuming, they're fumbling, they're contradicting themselves, they lash out. All these reactions are exactly what you want to show the court. You want the judge to see, there you go, there you have it. So how do you make this work? What do you have to do? Your evidence has to be rock solid. Gather your documents, gather your emails, gather your text messages. Anything that directly contradicts what the narcissist's version of events is, and summarize it where you can. Even put together percentages where you can. They were late 98% of the time. They didn't pay 54% of the time. Organize this all in a way that is easy to present, and then where you can reference it, where you have supporting documentation, makes it nice and quick. And if you can present it in terms of the statute, that's even better. That bolsters your argument even more with undeniable proof. Remember, the stronger your evidence, the better the leverage, the more that narcissistic supply just is gone. The more devastating this question becomes and the more impact it's going to have, the more it unravels, the more your leverage gets stronger. So what can you expect? Be prepared for that narcissist to react. They might try to deflect. They change the subject. They even attack you personally. Remember, they're like toddlers, like 2-year-olds having a tantrum on the floor. They're going to be the worst right before they're ready to give up. So you've got to put your invisible shield down around you. You've got to start looking at them like they're having a tantrum. Oh, well, there they go, having that tantrum. Stay calm, stay composed. Don't let their reaction throw you off. Their outburst is exactly what you want the court to see. It's a clear demonstration of their true nature. The key is to remain unshaken and that you are the one in control and that the narcissist behavior is out of line. That's what you have to do in order to get them to go crazy. That's the one question that can be the narcissist's worst nightmare in court and can turn the court against them. You're dealing with a narcissist. This narcissist has been a nightmare for you, driving you crazy, making your life miserable, making you feel paralyzed, powerless, used, abused. I get it. I've been there. I've dealt with not one, but 2 covert narcissists in my life. People close enough to me to drive me insane, make me crazy, gaslight me, take advantage of me, and step all over me. And yes, I'm a lawyer. Yes, I'm somebody who has, achieved a lot in my life, but that didn't mean that I couldn't be a target and a victim. It didn't mean that I can't become a survivor and thriver, which is what I've become. And now, since I've represented thousands of people who've dealt with narcissists in their divorces, I've also had to deal with them as opposing counsel or even deal with them as clients sometimes. And in my personal life, I've devoted my life to helping you with this nightmare because they are a nightmare. No doubt about it. They make your life a living hell. And so how can you turn those tables and actually make their lives a living hell? Make them crazy? Is it even possible? It absolutely is. This is a strategy. You know, I have a whole course on how to negotiate with the narcissist. It's called Slay Your Negotiation with the Narcissist. And SLAY actually stands for strategy, leverage, anticipate what the narcissist is going to do, and focus on you. So I would say the things that you want to do to make a narcissist miserable is, and become their worst nightmare, is within the context of a strategy and within the context of developing leverage, because leverage is the thing that you're ultimately going to be using to squeeze and motivate that narcissist into doing what you want them to do and coming to reasonable conclusions so that you can actually resolve your issues with them. So yes, you can become a narcissist's worst nightmare, but I highly recommend you use it as part of a strategy and then ultimately get out of the relationship if you can. What's the number one thing that you can start with? You got to hit them where it hurts. And where is that for a narcissist? It's all about their supply source. So for a narcissist, they live on supply. Supply is their oxygen, it's their food, it's their lifeblood. Supply is anything that feeds their ego. So yes, they can get supply from the normal things that feed people's egos, like having a prestigious job, having lots of money, having the right car, the right house, the right wife, the right husband, living in the right neighborhood, and on and on and on. Okay, so yes, all of those things can give a narcissist supply. But what most people don't realize is that narcissists also get supply from jerking people around, from devaluing them, from treating them poorly, from cutting them down, from acting like they're better. You know, all of those things also is a form of supply for the narcissist. So the trick in hurting them and becoming their worst nightmare is figuring out what source of supply you can interrupt, or you can threaten to interrupt, or you can threaten to take away. And so what is that for a narcissist? Most of the time for a narcissist, it's going to be all wrapped up in how they look to the community, how they look to the world, how they look to people they respect. Maybe it's a judge, maybe it's their lawyer, maybe it's other people in their world, like their boss or their clients or friends or people in the neighborhood or people on the same board that they are, whatever it is. But they really want to make sure that they look good. Interrupting or threatening to interrupt, even better is to threaten to take it away, because that's where that leverage point is. That's where you're kind of riding that line of, you know, the leverage. Because once it's already gone, then it's gone. So it's even better for them if you can threaten that supply source. Number two is demonstrate their lack of control over something, because obviously narcissists want to have control over everything. So if you let them know that you're no longer controlling them, you're no longer controlling another person, you're no longer controlling a situation, then that will drive them absolutely insane. That's when you'll see the love bombing start back up again, the hoovering back in. You know, as a divorce attorney, you know, when somebody hires me who is married to a narcissist, that's when you'll start to see the narcissist go, oh, that lawyer is only out for money, that lawyer's not very good, that lawyer's not the one for you, you know, whatever, because they're going to try to figure out how to get that person away from the person who is now potentially has control over them, instead of the narcissist having control over that person. So, you know, figuring out what they really want to have control over, and then letting them realize, oh, you don't have control over this particular thing anymore. So that's another really good way of becoming a nightmare to a narcissist. And if you are so ready to turn the tables on that narcissist in the way that they've done to you, give me a turn the tables in the comments. Number three is one of my favorites, which is live a happy and successful life without them. That'll drive them absolutely insane. How Are they living without me? How are they doing this? So you just move on, and the best way to do it is just completely erase them from your life, from your brain, like as if you went into the hard drive and just of your life and just took that whole section out and move on. You don't even think about them. You take them off your social media. You take them off of your email list, block them from your phone. That's what I had to do with the narcissist in my life so that I could just move on. And guess what? Live your happy and successful life, but live it without even thinking about, geez, I'm going to be making that narcissist crazy by living this happy and successful life, because then you still are like giving them energy, and you don't want to continue to attract that person into your life. So the best way is just to actually move on, and that will drive them crazy, by the way. So you will become a nightmare because you escaped. So they'll have to move on to some other form of supply, and good riddance. If you are able to cut off their source of supply, show them they can't control you anymore, and live a happy and successful life without them, that's the trifecta. Now you've totally become the narcissist's worst nightmare, and the biggest bonus is you get to move on and you get to have your own life back. Even better than being the narcissist's worst nightmare is you having your life back. What if you could just take a shot and lose all the weight you wanted to? I know for me, a few years ago, I was dealing with thyroid issues, menopause issues, autoimmune issues, all the things, and I gained a bunch of weight and I lost it all, but it took forever. And I wish that something like Robody had been around back then to help me lose the weight. But now you get the benefit of it because Robody is now around to help you lose weight. It's just one shot a week. And combined with a healthy lifestyle, you can lose 15 to 20% of your weight in a year on average and actually keep it off. They've helped more than 200,000 people so far, and they help you even with support, with getting the medication through your insurance and everything that you need so that you can actually lose the weight. That means that it's such a great opportunity for you now. So average weight loss is 15 to 20% in a year with a healthy lifestyle change, and BMI and other eligibility criteria apply. Go to ro.co/Rebecca. Sign up today and you'll pay just $99 a month for your first month and $145 a month after that. And medication costs are separate. That's ro.co/Rebecca. All right, so it's vital to understand what the breakdown is. So many people feel like the court system is stacked against you. And in a way, it kind of is. And the reason why I'm going to tell you that is because it's not built to get punitive damages for you. If a person's been a narcissist, that's not its job. Its job, especially, if you're in a divorce situation, is to divide assets or to give people their kids, give people time with their kids. That's the job. Or, if there's a spousal support claim, then okay. Even if it's a business dispute, maybe it's a probate litigation claim, or maybe it's something else, right? Defamation, whatever it is. The job of the judge is to apply the law agnostically, to go, okay, what statute applies here? And let me see how it's been interpreted by case law and move on. And you've got a judge who more than likely has way too many cases on their docket and more than likely has heard everybody on their brother and sister, on the whole freaking planet at this point. Everyone's a narcissist now. So they don't want to hear about that. That's on one side of it. And by the way, judges are overworked, underpaid, maybe highly esteemed, sort of, at this point, I don't even know. They're government workers. That's what they are. They get paid the same regardless of what you decide to do. They're not getting paid more. There's no bonus involved. They do get evaluated based on how quickly they get cases off their dockets, or how often they get appealed. If they are appealed too often or things happen, they're not going to get reelected or reappointed, depending on how it is that they got that position in the first place. They're not lifetime appointees like the Supreme Court, the US Supreme Court, right? If they're looking to stay in that job for a long period of time, then they may just choose the safe route. There's a lot at play politically for the judge as well. So you got to think about that. That's one side of the equation. So, they might just take the safe route and go, it's easier for me to just see what's going on here. Okay, apply. The other side of it is from your perspective. Let's say it's a divorce situation. What you may be coming into this as, hey, I got married for life and I expected that this was going to be my life. I signed up to be married to a person who I thought was going to be the love bomb version, and they turned out to be the devil from hell, the worst possible thing ever. And I didn't expect that. And somebody's got to pay. Somebody's got to make up for this to me. I want somebody to help me. And so there's this disconnect here. And so, you may be going, hey, somebody's got to make this up to me. Well, you can't look to the judge to do that because the judge's job, that's not the judge's job. So what you need to do is figure out how you're going to present this to the judge, to the court, in a way that they're going to care. Because if you don't, then that's where you fall short. From a divorce perspective, there's something else that is really important for you to understand. And that is that there is a big, huge myth out there. And that is that no fault means that fault never matters. And that is flatly wrong, because no fault just means that you don't have to prove fault in order to get a divorce. In the old days, you had to prove grounds like abuse or adultery. Nowadays, you don't. You just have to say that the marriage is irretrievably broken or something like that. But fault matters all the time. You can say that somebody has been a horrible parent. You can say that somebody's wasted assets. You can say that somebody's been a liar. And then that will be taken into consideration depending on what the statute provides. And that's where you look at the terms of your statute. And that's when you start speaking the language of the court. And that's how you get the judge to care. Does this make sense? If this makes sense, give me a yes in the comments. This is where you build your connection between what you care about and what the judge is going to care about. Now, how are you going to do this? You can't obviously just come in and say the things that you want to say, because then it's just your word against the other person's word. You've got to have proof. What's your proof? Your proof is going to be in your documentation. Your documentation is going to be your detailed records. It could be emails, it could be texts, it could be witnesses, it could be videos. There's a number of different things it could be, but you want to keep detailed records of everything, all interactions with that narcissist, dates, times, specifics. It could be voicemails, anything that demonstrates their behavior. I've had people keep meticulous records, and then those things end up being summaries. You can keep timelines. Timelines end up being beautiful. You think that you have it in your head, but when you start laying it out and you start to see what it is on paper or on your screen or whatever it is nowadays, you will get to see patterns. It is those patterns that end up being the gold for you, because they never think that you're going to keep track. When they say, hey, I'm Mr. Dad, I'm Mr. Dad. And then when they ask for a change in the schedule, 50% of the time in a 4-month period, it becomes gold. but you've got to document it. You document behavior, and that, or you have coworkers, or you have piano teachers, or you have whoever it is that helps you, because it paints a comprehensive picture of the environment, of the community, of everything that's been going on. Because you got to understand, the judge walks out, they don't know you. And a lot of times, all they see is the reaction from you. Because you know what they do. They bait you, they trigger you, and then the narcissist goes, oh, there's the crazy one over there. See, I'm the calm, wonderful one. You see that I'm the one who is nice and wonderful, Your Honor. And the way they do it is just so manipulative, and you know that, right? So you have to establish patterns of behavior. The other way that you can do it, if you can afford it, is bringing in experts, third-party neutral experts for forensics. It could be a custody evaluation. It could be for a lifestyle analysis, for income or purposes of support. It could be for business valuations. But the more that you can have those third-party neutral evaluators, the better it is. You better make sure it's somebody that you're going to trust, who's going to do a good job. I'm always really careful about that. Oftentimes, I also like to use technology to my advantage, digital communications, keep things in real time is really, really helpful. If you think you're going to go back and recreate, it's just not helpful. You want to stay organized in real time. Have an organizer for your cases. Have an organizer for your timeline. I would have a coach. I train coaches. I have coaches that are available to help you. I have my programs to help you. I have all kinds of a suite of resources for you. If you want a resource to get you started that's free, go to my free Crush My Negotiation Prep Playbook at winmynegotiation.com. It's a great place to get you started. Also, my free Facebook group, Narcissist Negotiators with Rebecca Zung, get you started there. You definitely want to have a suite of tools, resources, people who are going to support you, because obviously they're going to gaslight you. They're going to light you up with litigation. They're going to ignore your court orders. They're going to ignore your attempts to get discovery. I mean, I would definitely use subpoenas where you can, because they're going to give you half of replies, and they're going to make you work for everything, make it as expensive as possible, and then make sure it's your fault. I mean, everything's going to be a thing. And you want to have a good lawyer, not to overly rely on, because you just want to use the lawyer for just the parts that you need, which is just to present the law, present the case. Everything else you want to organize. You want to be driving the bus, and you want to know what you're doing. That's where I come in to help you with that through my programs, because I'm here to help you save your money, put it in your pocket. So proving narcissistic abuse can be daunting, but not really, because they are very simple to understand. They're simple creatures to understand. They're difficult to deal with, but they're simple to understand. So remember, you're not alone. Don't try to do this alone. That's how you can prove narcissistic abuse. I have helped people win. They only win if you give it. You absolutely can do this. You have to believe it. You must believe that you can do it. That's how you start. If you think you're going to give up and you think that you're going to lose, they have you. The minute that you think that, they have you. So don't give them that satisfaction. You are going to court with a narcissist and you're thinking, I can't win, or they always seem to win, or they always get their way, or everybody seems to be duped by them, or the court system is unfair. I know, I've heard all of the things. Believe me, I know, because I've been around the court system for a long time. I've practiced law for a long time. I've been around the system for a long time. I've been in trials many, many times, hearings many, many times. I've seen all different shapes and sizes of clients, judges, all different types of opposing counsel, magistrates, all different types of proceedings. So I know what it's like. Okay. I've had narcissists as clients, unfortunately. I've had them as opposing counsel. And here's the thing that I know, that is that if you go into this situation thinking this court system is skewed, everybody's against me, the narcissist always wins, you will definitely lose. If you want to win your case, then you have to, first of all, have a mindset that you're going to win. And by the way, I'm Rebecca Zung. I've been recognized by US News as one of the best lawyers in America. And I've won a lot of other awards too. And if you're new here, welcome. I'm glad that you're here. I've also written a best-selling book, Slay the Bully, How to Negotiate with a Narcissist and Win. And I invite you to subscribe here and join us in this amazing and powerful community. Okay. Let me tell you, I know it doesn't seem fair a lot of the time. And, there's a lot of different reasons for that. The biggest reason is that you're kind of speaking different languages because you're kind of looking to the court system to right a wrong, because you had an idea in mind of what you thought life was going to be, whether it was with a person you were married to, or maybe it was a business situation, or maybe it was a probate situation, whatever it was. And so you're looking to the court system to right this wrong for you and make it fair, make it equitable. That's really not quite the job of the court system. The court system's job is to apply the law. And the law, it's like agnostic. For example, if it's a divorce situation, the law might say something like split the assets, make sure the kids get to see their parents, so that there's some kind of a plan in place that's in the best interest of the children or child. And in most states, that might be 50-50 nowadays. Let's see, let's make sure that the parents have some kind of decision-making authority around big time decisions like medical or education. And let's make sure that the parents pay for things for the kids like extracurricular activities or something to that effect. It's not like, let's make sure that we make Susie whole for the promises that Johnny might have made to her 20 years ago. Now Johnny she found out that Johnny's an asshole. And so let's make her feel whole about that. It's not the court's job. And so there's kind of like a disconnect about that, because there's like this emotional aspect of things, right? You also have kind of like this other agenda going on here, because the judge who presides over the court system, they have their own thing going on, which is most of the time they're overworked, underpaid. They are basically a government employee, if you think about it. They have way too many cases on their docket. They are evaluated, if you think about it, okay? They are evaluated. They are evaluated in terms of if they get appealed, are those appeals successful? And also, they are evaluated on how many cases are on their docket and how quickly they move, and are they getting backed up and all that sort of thing. They are not supposed to have these cases back up on their docket. And that's why you have things like case management conferences. They're looking at, hey, this case has been languishing for a while, and what do we need to do to get this case moving, because we don't want this case to be open for too long. They're looking at things like that to make sure that the case is closed. What can we do to make sure that this case is going to be moved along? So what they're going to do is they're going to go, hey, do we need discovery on this case? Okay, let's make a deadline. Hey, do we need to set depositions on this case? All right, let's make a deadline. So they're going to make sure of that. So all that the judge cares about is that. They're not going to go, how can we help Susie with her plight about the fact that she got ripped off from the life that she was promised by Johnny. They don't care about that. And in fact, if it's a divorce situation or a custody situation, and it's a family court situation, let's say, or even probably a probate situation at this point, everybody has been using that term narcissist at this point. You're going to get the eye roll. You're going to get the proverbial eye roll if you try to use the term narcissist. Everybody uses those words. So what I'm going to say to you is that you're going to have to use other ways, other methods to expose this person in court. You're going to have to speak the language of the judge. What I would say to you is you're going to want to speak the language prior to that, because in my opinion, I would say to you, get to that narcissist before you even get to the judge. So in my SLAY method, which is what I teach in my courses and my certification, which is to help you so you can save money, save time, save headache, so that you can actually get what you want from these people. What you do is you actually get to them before you do that. You create leverage. But the best way you're going to do this is you want to get to them by getting them where it's going to hurt. All right. So you want to create leverage such that you are threatening a source of supply that's more important for them to keep than the supply that they get from manipulating you. So what is that? That is diamond level supply. So diamond level supply is their reputation. It's what is more important to them than anything, how they look to the world, right? So what's their diamond level supply? It's probably a number of things, but it's most likely, people that they work with or their bosses. It could be their fans if they're a celebrity, or it could be their children if they have adult children. It's definitely the judge in the case. So it could be a number of sources. Who do they not want to look bad in front of? It could be neighbors, it could be friends, high-end friends, or whatever. But it's who do they not want to look bad in front of? Then the next thing is cold level supply, which is you, which is manipulating you, getting that supply source from you. And then the next thing you want to do is take all of that and put it in terms that the judge, the court, is going to care about. What do they care about? They care about case law. They care about statutes. They care about the law. So you want to take your laws, your statutes, the law in your state, your jurisdiction, your country, wherever it is that you're watching me here from, take your facts and apply it to your law. How do you do that? So what I suggest that you do, and I teach all of this in my SLAY course, by the way, which you can learn more about at slayyournegotiation.com, or I'm going to give you some free stuff here in a minute. You can start with free winmynegotiation.com. You can get a free Crush My Negotiation playbook at winmynegotiation.com. It's totally free. It's 15 pages. It'll totally help you. What you want to do is you're going to take your statutes, your case law, and you're going to create a binder or something. And you're going to take each one of the prongs of your statute. Let's say it's the best interest of the children's statute. Each one of those, that statute has, maybe 10 different factors, 17 different factors, whatever it is. And let's say one of them is which parent is more likely to foster a close and continuing relationship with the other parent. Let's say there's a text message that says, oh, mommy is a terrible parent or daddy is whatever. Then you take that text and you put that in that section of the binder. And now you are building your case. Now you can have summaries. Now you can have summaries of lies, summaries of inconsistency, whatever. And now you are starting to put it in terms of that statute, put it in terms of that law. And so now you're going to start speaking the language that the judge will understand. Understand? Get it? you get it, I want you to put I get it in the comments below. So you want to understand the mindset of that judge. It can be a huge game changer when you are dealing with that narcissist. Okay. Documentation is key. I have had entire coaches who've done my entire program, who've actually created their own apps, all kinds of really cool stuff because they have won. I had one of my coaches say he came up with his own phrase, which is it's their word against your documentation, right? So when you understand how to do this, it's gold. You can't lose. It wins every single time. I've helped literally thousands of people all over the world in over 100 countries. It works. You take your patterns, you take your summaries, and it becomes all kinds of magical things for you. And it becomes so influential, and you don't even know what ends up coming from it. So in my program, I show you how to do it. I give you timelines, I give you templates, all kinds of really cool stuff. But start with the free. Start with winmynegotiation.com and you'll get super far with it. Making that transition between summer and fall is always a crazy thing. And that's why I love having a leather jacket, like my gorgeous one from Quince. And they have timeless and high quality items, which I love. And they don't blow my budget, which I also love. They have cashmere sweaters and washable silk tops. And everything is like 50 to 80% less than other brands, which I also love. They cut out the middleman. They pass the savings on to us, which is also amazing. It's safe and ethical, which I also love. I really love my brown leather jacket from them. It's super stylish and it's high quality. Just love that. So make switching seasons a breeze with Quince's high quality closet essentials. Go to quince.com/negotiate for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. That's QUINCE.com/negotiate to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/negotiate. So when you go to negotiate with a narcissist, when you go to deal with a narcissist, it's important to know what to avoid if you want to avoid them, or what to push on and trigger if you want to trigger those things. But there are some things that a narcissist just don't get over. And when I teach people how to create leverage, which is what I teach people how to do, when I teach people how to create a strategy, you do want to figure out what those pressure points are. And I'm going to go over 4 of them right here, right now. The first one is that loss of control. All right. If you really want to know what one of the major pressure points are with a narcissist, I don't think it's any surprise that control is one of the things that they are so concerned about. That's why they're constantly looking for ways to keep you in control. I mean, that's the whole point of getting you into their web in the first place. That's the whole point of the love bombing and the manipulation and all the fear-based tactics that they go through. If you're new to this channel, I'm Rebecca Zung, and I am the author of Slay the Bully, How to Negotiate with a Narcissist and Win, which is a best-selling book, and also an attorney. I am a USA Today best-selling author. I'm also a top 1% attorney. And if you haven't subscribed, go ahead and do that now. Subscribe, hit that notification bell. One of the things that they do right from the beginning is try to get you into their web of control. So the first thing that they never get over, of course, is that loss of control. And so when they feel you slipping out of their hands, whether it's in a personal relationship or a professional relationship, it's like, oh my God, what is going on here? Whether that means that you are walking out the door, you are quitting your job, they think that you have found somebody else, that you are no longer interested in them, you're not going to be swayed by their future faking anymore. If you want to know what future faking is, it means that I know that I didn't do what I was supposed to do. You're on to me, but wait till you see how things are going to go in the future. It's all going to be wine and roses again. It's going to be butterflies and rainbows. And you'll see that I'm going to do all the things that I was supposed to do in the future. Don't look in the past anymore. Let's just sweep all of that under the rug. I know that I was a piece of crap in the past. I know I didn't do any of those things. They don't say that, but let's not look at that anymore. Why should we dwell on that? Let's look at the future. It's all going to be great. I will now do the marriage counseling. You'll get the raise. You'll have the pie in the sky, whatever it is, because it's going to be fantastic. And they'll say whatever the hell they want because they don't plan on doing any of it anyway. Maybe they do in their brain at that moment, but whatever. They'll say whatever they want because it's not going to happen anyway. So that's the first thing. The first thing is loss of control. That's the one thing that they just don't get over. The second thing is exposure of vulnerability. Okay. They are extremely concerned about this. And honestly, I probably should have saved this till the end because when I teach people how to create leverage in my SLAY program, which is strategy, leverage, anticipate, and focusing on you. This is the one thing that I tell people all the time because you've got your diamond level supply, which is how they look to the world, which is the most important thing to them. And then you've got what I call a coal level supply, which is manipulating you and trying to make you squirm and make your life miserable. And in order to build leverage, you have to find a form of supply that is more important for them to keep than the supply that they get from jerking you around. I mean, they thrive on manipulating you. They thrive on jerking you around. What you have to do is think, okay, how can I potentially threaten that source of supply that's more important for them to keep and threaten that source of supply? And unmasking this potential vulnerability or threatening to unmask this potential vulnerability, that's going to be your best source of leverage. That is going to lead to unexpected reactions. And that's going to, make them sweat. That's going to make them nervous. And I always say that, the biggest myth in dealing with narcissists is that they just want to win. They don't just want to win. Yes, they want to win, but it's not the only thing that they want. It's if you think that the only thing that they want is to win, then you are going to never be done with them because they will never leave you alone. They need to also continue to jerk you around and manipulate you. That's why they continue to move goalposts even on their own deal because they need to make you sweat, see you squirm, that they get off on that. If this is resonating with you, let me know in the comments. I would love to know if this is resonating with you. Drop me a comment, share your thoughts and experiences below and let me know. And if you are dealing with a narcissist in a negotiation setting, get my free Crush My Negotiation worksheet to get started. And you can get that at winmynegotiation.com. It will help you. It's your toolkit. It's your freedom. It's your path to freedom. It's an ebook, basically, but it will help you get started and get going so that you can have that GPS to get where you want to go. The next thing that narcissists will hate and never get over is a challenge to their superiority, especially if you do this in public, by the way, especially if you do this in public and in front of other people, and especially in front of other people that they don't want to be exposed to. Like you start combining these together. Oh my gosh. So a challenge to their superiority, their ego blow. Oh my gosh. The third thing is they think that they are God's gift and you say, I don't think so. I don't think that you are correct on that. I think that you may be mistaken on that particular point. Even if you are presenting them with evidence of their error, they will not be happy about that. So, I mean, and I've actually been in court and shown a narcissistic attorney Like, this is what you actually said on the record, and here is proof with the transcript. And they'll be like, yeah, I might have said that, but that's not that's incorrect. I mean, like, they will challenge their own selves if they want to be right on something, because they have to be superior in that moment. It's so crazy how they can be triggered in these particular situations. Asserting yourself, asserting your own strength can trigger some major responses out of a narcissist, especially in a situation like that in front of a judge. They are not happy about situations like that. They do not like that at all. That is number 3, is a challenge to their superiority. Now, when you are making choices to do these sorts of things, you will definitely need support. You will definitely need help. If you don't have a support system, get one. Make sure you have one. If you don't have one, my community is amazing. Even if you have one, my community is amazing. Narcissist Negotiators with Rebecca Zung is my free private Facebook group. Come join us. Come join our community. Make sure that you do. If you need additional support and help, then I have a sponsor on this channel, which is BetterHelp. And you can go to betterhelp.com/Rebecca Zung to get access to that help. And it's just sources that we have vetted so that you have a place that you can go that you can trust. The next thing is, and the last thing for here, is ignoring them. You know, they don't want to be ignored. They don't want to be told goodbye, basically, which is what the best thing is that you could do. Go gray rock. Go say goodbye, move on with your life. I know sometimes it's not always the easiest thing to do, but it is the best thing for you to do. Sometimes it's not something that you can do right away. Sometimes you have to get to that point, which is where I come in and I can help you get there. It's almost like you're cutting off that blood supply to them, because they will just go and find that supply source from somewhere else other than you if you cut off that supply source from you to them, because they have to have that supply source from somewhere. And if it's not going to be from you, it's going to have to be from someone else. Let it be from someone else, because they're literally sucking you dry. They're literally sucking it from your soul. It's going to make you sick. It's going to make you physically ill. It's going to have brain fog. It causes brain fog on you. By you saying, I can wait, maybe it'll get better, all of those things, it doesn't. And waiting doesn't make it better on them, and it doesn't make it better for you. It never does. You know, the best thing that you can do at this point is plan, protect, get yourself ready, get yourself to a better place, and get yourself stronger. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a series of questions, because I want to make sure that you are so ready to deal with a narcissist in a variety of situations. And by the way, you better be careful when you're dealing with a narcissist, and take good care, because you will want to make sure you protect yourself. And if you're in any sort of danger, make sure that you call the police or call the domestic violence hotline if you do need to. So I don't want to put you in any sort of danger. You know that I am an attorney. And so I do want to make sure before we delve into this that, we do understand what we're dealing with. All right. So before we dive into the types of questions, I want you to understand the narcissistic mind. So you know that narcissists thrive on control. They thrive on being admired. They need that narcissistic supply, right? They have a very, very fragile ego, and questioning their authority can be the thing that causes that narcissistic collapse, right? Pulling that rug out from under them or exposing them in some way. So how can you use questions to cause that collapse in some way? So understand it's always going to be about supply. Everything is about supply for them. They're like rats in a maze. It's that one thing that motivates them. It's that one thing that incentivizes them. And when you are negotiating with them, which is what I teach people how to do through my SLAY programs, and SLAY, by the way, is an acronym, which is strategy, leverage, anticipate, and focus on you, which, is what I teach people how to do I teach people how to build leverage through looking at supply, because that is the one thing that motivates them and incentivizes them. Now, there are different types of supply. It's diamond level supply, which is how they look to the world. And then there's what I call coal level supply, which is manipulating people, controlling people, degrading people. So understanding how to trigger a narcissistic collapse is going to be tied up in that supply situation, right? So and if you haven't, by the way, subscribed to this channel, I invite you to do that now. Subscribe, hit that notification bell, because I do teach and give free information, resources, tips, tricks every single day. So subscribe, hit that notification bell, because I make sure that I'm turning you all into savvy negotiators out there. All right. And if you are in the process of negotiating with a narcissist, grab my free Crush My Negotiation prep worksheet, winmynegotiation.com, because that will also help you. And it's a free ebook. It's 15 pages, and it will also help you as well, because it's literally helped thousands and thousands of people now, and it'll help you beat that narcissist on the other side. All right. So understanding that narcissistic mind is so, so important, and how you can use questions strategically to start to pull that rug out from underneath them. All right. So consider the reflective type of question, So a reflective type of question might be something like pondering their actions without directly challenging them, but it kind of gets their juices flowing, right? So how do you think your decisions are? Here's an example. How do you think your decisions will be affecting those around you? It's non-confrontational, but powerful, right? Because they have to start to think about that, right? They're going to start to think about the other people around them and how they might be exposed, because they don't want to look bad to their, what I call diamond level supply. Okay. Which is the people that they, value the most. The next one is the accountability question. This subtly places accountability on them. Remember, when it comes to accountability, the thing they want to do, project and deflect. It's never their fault. It's never their problem. It's never, they always want to say it's your fault. It's somebody else's fault. I couldn't get to it because, someone else was supposed to do something first, because this person didn't do what they were supposed to do, because it wasn't my job, because, it's always something else, right? So, but you can say, what steps are you taking to address the concerns raised? What steps are you taking to handle it? How are you going to rectify the situation? It's about holding them accountable without directly accusing. So how is it going to be handled? How do you suggest we, fix the problem for the future? How do you suggest that we make everybody more accountable? So that you can make sure that there's transparency in the situation for next time. Get it in writing. Exposure, right? You want to expose them. Squeeze them in. You start to squeeze them in. The more that you can start to squeeze them in so that there's transparency and potential exposure, the more you start to set up their collapse. The next one is the empathy sets of questions. Empathy questions can be game changers. All right. Can you help me understand what led you to feel this way? This not only disarms them, but sets them up for, okay, let's have a genuine conversation. What led you to feel this way? What led you to feel that concern? Because that makes them feel very uncomfortable. This is where you're going to really start to get, the project and deflect. Why are you bringing that up now? Why are we having this conversation? This is not a good time. Now you interrupted me. Now you're going to get they're not going to want to have this whole empathy conversation. And then the next one is the hypothetical question. It allows you to address situations indirectly. Well, if you were in their shoes, how would you want to be treated? And it invites reflection without confrontation. So, it tries to get them to put them in their shoes. So, but they don't know, they're so, it almost is like they can't do it. They literally can't do it. I mean, that's when you're going to get them to, they don't have time for this right now. I would love to have this conversation, but I can't right now. I mean, that's really the worst one for them. But the way you really can start to box them in is through those accountability sorts of things, where you can really start to hold them accountable, the empathy questions, the reflective questions, those sets of questions where you can really start to box them in, especially if you're in a work situation. That's what I've used it before, and they just get mad. Because once you start to box them in, that's when they're just they end up leaving, basically. But I would love to know which of these questioning techniques resonates with you the most. I've seen them work, by the way. They work like a charm. You want a narcissist to lose their mind? I'm going to give you 10 ways to make them do that. So make sure you stay tuned all the way till the end, and make sure that you get a notepad and start writing it down, because you definitely want to see how this is going to go. Now, make sure your safety is always key. Okay. Number one, hold them account to their behavior. They don't want to be held accountable for their behavior, especially the covert narcissist. This is the one thing that most people don't do. I know I didn't do when I had a narcissistic business partner, at least not right away, because they're so passive aggressive, especially at the beginning. You're like, what is going on here? I know for me, I didn't speak up quickly enough. And so that's how they start conditioning you at the beginning. So for me, I know the narcissistic business partner that I had would promise to do things and then not do them. And I would be like, should I say something? Should I not? If you hold them to account to their behavior every single time, and I'm telling you this as an attorney, you cannot let them get away with anything. So if they were supposed to have discovery in on a certain date, you need to file that motion right away. Hold them account to their behavior. If they show up someplace after they said they were sick, go right up to them and say, I thought you weren't feeling well. They're not used to people saying things directly to them. Hold them account for their behavior. That's number one. Number two is stop giving them primary supply. They will lose their minds. Diamond level supply is what they love. So they love you to feed their ego. They love you to make them feel like they're amazing. Whatever it is that is that primary source of supply that they're getting from you, if you cut off that primary source of supply, they will lose their minds. That being said, I will say to you, sometimes You want to continue to give them a certain source of supply if it is something that you're doing strategically. So I have this one particular strategy that I call fluff for favor, vomit later, where you're kind of ethically manipulating the manipulator, where you give them something and in return, you're getting something that you want. So, for example, you might say, can you handle doing the QuickBooks this month? You're so much better at it than I am, and it will be done so much more efficiently than if I did it. You want to make sure that there's no sarcasm in there or anything like that, but you're giving them something to stroke that ego, something that they love. Stop giving them primary supply if all you're doing is giving them supply just to give them supply. Okay, that will make them lose their minds. The next one is implications that their control is threatened. So if they see that they're losing their grip on you, if they see that that grip is slipping away in some way, then they will lose their minds. They're going to start to have a little bit of a temper tantrum. That's okay. That's how you switch that dynamic of power. It's going to be an adjustment for you. It's going to be an adjustment for them. The way I like to describe it is a 2-year-old having a tantrum on the floor. When a 2-year-old has a tantrum, they feel like all they need to do is cry a little bit longer or scream louder or kick harder or pound their fists on the ground a little bit more. And mom and dad will just give in to me because that's what happened last time. That's what's going on. They're trying to condition you. They're trying to make it you do what they want them to do. If you give in, then they'll just do that more next time. So it feels unfamiliar to you when you're conditioning them back, but that's okay. You'll be okay and they'll be okay. Remember, they'll be the worst right before they're ready to give up. The next one is they will lose their mind if you leave them or abandon them, even if they have said they want to leave you or go ahead and leave me or we're not right for each other, we need to be done or anything like that, because it's that push pull thing that leave me. I hate you. Don't leave me. I hate you. Don't leave me. They don't want you to actually leave them. They want you to prove how much you love them. They want you to, or they want you to feel manipulated. They enjoy messing with your feelings. That is part of the game for them. So if you actually leave them, if you actually abandon them, they will lose their minds. And if any of this is resonating with you, go ahead and put yes in the comments. And by the way, I have other videos on the narcissistic relationship, the love bombing, the devaluing, and the discard phases, which you definitely should check out if you haven't seen those before. The next one is standing up for yourself, especially if you haven't stood up for yourself in the past. They won't like it. They will lose their minds. That's another thing that will start to upset them. But again, baby steps. You're taking that switch. You're switching that dynamic of power. You're course correcting. It's not going to feel comfortable to do it all overnight, but you can do it. You can turn it around. I say step 1, don't run. Step 2, make a U-turn. Step 3, break free. You can turn it around. The next thing that will make them go crazy is ignoring attempts to manipulate you. If you ignore those attempts to manipulate you, and you just start going gray rock, which is what you're doing, you're like a gray rock, it's just boring, then it will make them go crazy because they want to go fishing. They want to reel you in. And if you stay above that fray, then it will drive them absolutely crazy. The next one is keeping secrets from them. They are not trustworthy people to begin with. So they don't think that they can trust you. You certainly can't trust them. That's why they don't feel like they can trust you, because they're not trustworthy. Whatever they're doing behind your back ain't good. So they just assume everybody's like that. So they're assuming that you're doing bad things. So if they find out that you're actually keeping secrets from them, then, all hell breaks loose. It is what it is. And then, of course, the last one, The last one is, it's all part of that slave methodology anyway, by the way, where you have to create that strategy, that leverage, anticipating and focusing on you, which I teach you how to do so well if you want to beat those narcissists. And you, by the way, if you are dealing with the narcissist, make sure you have grabbed my free Crush My Negotiation Prep worksheet at winmynegotiation.com, your free ebook. If you don't have it, what are you waiting for? All right. So make sure you get that. So number 10, threaten to expose them, of course, but make sure you do it within the power of the slave methodology, because if you don't do it the right way, it could be dangerous. All right. You really want to make sure that they're highly motivated and you are doing it the safe way, the strategic way, tactical way. Okay, so 4 things that will hurt a narcissist more than indifference. I know you've probably heard that indifference hurts the narcissist the most, right? So let's go back to what really makes a narcissist tick, because in order to understand what hurts a narcissist, you have to understand what makes a narcissist tick. Okay, so what is a narcissist to begin with? A narcissist is a person who feels like they have to get all of their form of value from external sources. They feel like they don't have any inherent sense of value. So they feel totally and completely empty inside, like there's a black hole inside of them. So they feel like they're starving. They feel like they can't get air. They feel like they can't get oxygen. So they feel like they're in survival mode all the time. So, in order to survive, they have to get their sources of air or oxygen from people, from you, or from outside the world. But unfortunately, there's nothing inside that can hold that basket. Like there's nothing there. It's just like this emptiness. So it just kind of goes right through them. So you might want to fill this black hole, and they want you to fill it too, but then you're left totally and completely depleted, and they're still starving or gasping for breath. And this horrible cycle keeps going on and on and on forever. And so then you're left utterly exhausted, and like your soul has been sucked from you, and yet they're still starving. And that's what keeps going on. And so indifference is actually the thing that allows them to just, yes, it hurts them. But what happens is they just go on to finding a different source of supply. So what hurts them more than that is what I'm going to go through now. Yes, that hurts them, of course, but I'm going to go through the things that actually hurt them more than indifference. Okay. So, because cutting off their source of supply is, yes, hurtful to them. But number one, the thing that hurts them, and I'm going to do what it hurts them the most last here. All right. So I'm going to go through 4 things. What hurts them the worst is what I'm going to go through last. All right. So number 1 is finding a better source of supply, better source, perceived better source in their mind, right? So, you have moved on to somebody that they think has more prestige, is better looking, has more money. That hurts them more than indifference, for sure. They think that you've moved on to this other person, that hurts them. Now, what they think they're hurting you is if they've moved on first to this perceived better source of supply, even if you don't even care. But if they think that they've moved on first to this perceived better source of supply, then they're going to parade this other new person around like some peacock, boy, that's for sure. But even if you're over there with your eyes rolled up, like, I do not care. Believe me, I've been there. Like, I don't care. But if they think that you have a better source of supply, then that totally hurts them more than indifference. Okay. Number two, cutting off their best source of supply. So, whatever they perceive to be their best source of supply, whatever that is, like a really good source of money or a really good source of sex or whatever. If you cut that off, then that will definitely hurt them more than indifference. Okay. So, maybe they think that they're, have a good source of prestige or something, and they don't get to have that anymore. They get to go to some country club or something, then that will hurt them more than indifference as well. Okay. So that is another thing that hurts a narcissist more than indifference. Another thing that hurts a narcissist more than indifference is losing. So, losing anything, by the way. So it doesn't, and I don't mean just losing like a game or losing negotiations, but losing negotiations for sure. But it could be losing their looks. As a narcissist ages and they're starting to lose their looks and they are starting to look older and, they're starting to get wrinkly, that is a huge source of angst for a narcissist, especially if their looks was all they had. If that was what they really were hanging their themselves on, like maybe they were a model or a celebrity or something where their looks were pretty much everything and their identity. That could be a huge source of something to hurt them more than indifference, for sure. Losing their money, I remember when I was, a short period of time, I was helping people with their money and, working as a wealth advisor. And I remember people losing money in the stock market or losing, when people lost money to Bernie Sanders or not Bernie Sanders, whoever the guy was that took all that money from people, Bernie Madoff, that's who it was. People wanted to like commit suicide or whatever, because that was like their entire identity. Any kind of losing like that, where like their identity is wrapped up in the thing, then that's what the narcissist identity is, then that can hurt a narcissist more than indifference. And if you've seen it, put a "seen it" in the comments for me. Say "I've seen it," because I know you have. We've made our way through the first three, and now we are going all the way down to our fourth one, which is the best one. I've been trying to make my way down to the best one here, which is exposing them to their best source of supply, exposing them to their best source of supply. Because remember, diamond level supply, coal level supply. And when a diamond level supply is how they look to the world, coal level supply is how narcissists get supply from controlling people, manipulating people, that sort of thing, which they love as well. But their best source of supply is how they look to the world, and even more so how they look to people they respect, people they really want to look good to. So if you expose them to people that they really want to look good to, that's hurts them the most. So exposing a narcissist to people that they don't want to be exposed to, that hurts them way more than indifference, for sure. Let's go. We're diving deep. Number one is set boundaries. You want to make sure you set boundaries. I always say step one, don't run. Step two, make a U-turn. Step three, break free. It's part of my overall slay strategy. I've been helping people break free from narcissists for more than 20 years as a lawyer, as a globally recognized narcissist negotiation expert, as somebody who has a high conflict negotiation strategy program, a training program. I certify people in this. So I'm telling you right now that the very first thing that you need to do is set clear boundaries and hold people to them. And I know it's so hard. So if the very first baby step that you take is put that invisible boundary down around you, as if it's like Teflon, the thing that narcissists look for are those little holes, those little places that they can get in, places that they think that there's an opening. And if the very first thing that you do is start looking at them as if they are a toddler having a tantrum on the floor, then you can start to observe their behavior to them. What do? You say, I can see that you are upset. I can see that you are angry. I can see that we might need to continue this conversation at a time that you have calmed down. Speak calmly, speak clearly. Never raise your voice. In fact, the lower you go, the quieter you go, the more control that you have. The minute you lose control, the minute your voice goes up, the minute your tone goes up, they know that they have you. Keep your breath low. Even take a breath if you need to, because the more that you do that, the more difficult they become, because then they start losing it. They start getting more emotional. They start losing control. And then they start yelling. And if you start yelling back, then they know that they have you, that now you're sucked in, pulled in, drawn in, you're in that mud. And now they feel like they've got a conversation going. Now they feel that they've got like a partner in this. It's like somebody is pushing back. So if you set that boundary, if you've got that invisible shield down around you, then there's nothing that they can pull, that there's nothing that they can push. It's like Teflon. It's like water off that duck's back. All right. So you can say, I'm not going to tolerate being spoken to disrespectfully. And if they yell at you, if they say things like you're this, you're that, whatever, you can just say, okay, thank you for the feedback. I'll take that under consideration, whatever. But you can say, I need to have my personal space respected. I'm not going to have this conversation right now. I'm not available for arguments. I'm not available for debates. Establishing that is critical. And it doesn't matter if this person is your boss. It doesn't matter if this person is your mother, father, whoever it is, you're always entitled to respect. It's really powerful. It's really important. It's really critical. What's okay and what's not? What are you going to tolerate? You tell people how you are going to be treated. You tell people. So that's number one. Number two is limiting that emotional engagement. I always say boundaries and then brief, like my B's, right? Limiting emotional engagement. It's that gray rock. People talk about gray rock. It's like you being a gray rock. It's so boring to even look at, but it's also, not having that much interaction with them. Try to keep it as brief as possible and just being neutral. So one of the things that I constantly tell people is making a plan, Stan. So when you're going to go have a conversation with them, just have a scope, an agenda, and a time limit when you're going to go talk to them. So you're only going to go talk to them about one issue, for a brief period of time. And if they go beyond that, then, make sure they know about it ahead of time. But if you're going to go beyond that, you just say, sorry, but this is the only thing we're going to be talking about today. And you know that. And I'm not going to talk about anything else. And if they go beyond the time limit, you can just say, oh, I'm sorry that, gotta go, gotta go, gotta go. Have something else today. I love talking to you. It's my favorite thing. It's my favorite thing ever. But unfortunately, gotta run. But we can set another time. And then you go on. You are protecting your peace. You are keeping your Teflon up. You're like Superman with the bullets off your chest. You are like Wonder Woman with the bullets off of your wrist. You are observing. You're not absorbing. Observe, don't absorb. All right. Protecting your well-being, preventing any kind of toxicity. No icky people under the tent. Next one is assertive communication. So important to have assertive communication when it comes to narcissists. There's a difference between assertiveness and aggressiveness. Obviously, you're not going to be aggressive, but you can use I statements. I need this. It is important that I have this. You know, you can't say you with narcissists. You can't say you're this or you're that, whatever. You can say, this is what I expect. These are my expectations. This is what I need. And be very clear. Be very clear about your boundaries and what you want for yourself. And be calm, be composed. If they get upset, if they get angry, if they're having a breakdown, if they're having a meltdown, they're having a tantrum, they're in a rage. Okay, there you go. You do that, you do you, but you're over here watching them. You stay cool, calm, collected. You are the adults in the relationship. Number 4 is what I call avoiding jade. I always wear jade because I'm half Chinese, love jade, but I always say you don't want to have jade. What does that mean? Is you're never going to justify, argue, defend, or explain. Why? Because have you ever seen a narcissist after you've said, this is my position? This is what I think that you should be seeing about my side. I've done this for you and I've done that for you, or this is what I think you should acknowledge. Da, da, da. Have you ever seen a narcissist say, you know what? I've thought about that. And you are so right. I get your side now. I get it. They've never done that ever. Not once in the history of all narcissists of all time. They've never come over to the other person's position. Not unless they're manipulating you, because, you know, everything is a manipulation when it comes to narcissists. So you need to just never justify, argue, defend, or explain, never jade. And you just go back to your gray rock. You just go back to, oh, okay. You can even say things like, I agree with you. I agree with you that we're never going to agree. I agree with you that that's your opinion. You know, when you say things like that, you're not actually agreeing to anything, but they hear I agree with you. Number 5 is utilize consequences. There has to be consequences for each and every action. It's like the law of physics. It has to happen when it comes to narcissists. For each and every action, there has to be an equal and opposite reaction. What do I mean by that? It means every time that they do something, you gotta respond. That means that if they didn't provide discovery in a case, you've got to file a motion. You've got to do something. If they didn't do what they were supposed to do with a court order, you got to file a motion to compel. You got to file a motion for contempt. There's got to be something. There has to be something. Or if they didn't do something at work, there has to be consequences. Or if they didn't do something at home, if they didn't fulfill on a promise, there has to be consequences. You have to not say, okay, they didn't fulfill on a promise and then let them go, because that's how they continue to get away with what they get away with, because people don't have good boundaries, because people have leaky boundaries when it comes to them. And if you guys are seeing what I'm seeing so far, I want you to put agree in the chat. And I want to know what you're thinking so far. I want to know how you're feeling about any of this so far. Which one of these are you going to use so far? Which one of these is resonating with you so far? You know, believe me, I'm telling you this from a person who has been there. I've dealt with narcissists in my life, and I know I'm telling you this from very personal experience, all right? As a lawyer and in my personal life. Why do I also know this? Because the next thing I got to tell you is you've got to practice some self-care. You've got to practice some self-care. And if you don't practice self-care, it's going to literally kill you anyway. But it is also a way to put a narcissist in their place, because narcissists don't want you to be practicing self-care. The only care that they want you to be practicing is on them. They want all the attention to be going toward them. They don't want you to be putting your care toward anybody else but them. And they believe that care is something to be doled out, and that all of it should be heading their direction and in nobody else's direction. And that's why they go crazy on holidays or birthdays or anything else, because they want all the attention to be focused on them and nobody else. But you need to be setting aside time for relaxation, for holidays, for therapy if need be, for counseling if need be, for coaching if need be, for support for yourself, time with friends, for whatever it is that floats your boat, right? And that will help you to get over the brain fog and all that other stuff that I'm sure is taking its emotional toll on you right now. Join my free private Facebook group, Narcissist Negotiators with Rebecca Zung. Get my book, Slay the Bully, How to Negotiate with a Narcissist and Win. Get my free phrases for disarming narcissists at disarmthenarc.com. Do what you need to do to help yourself in this situation because you need to take care of yourself. And the next one is also a way to put their narcissist in their place is seeking support. Do they want you to seek support? Hell to the no. They want you to be supporting them, but get help from trusted individuals, get help from support systems, from therapy. You need to educate yourself about narcissistic behavior and seek support and get information so that you can not have the feelings of isolation and helplessness. All right. And number 8 is maintain perspective and leave if you need to. And that is a really huge way to put a narcissist in their place and also expose them. Through my Slay strategy, I teach you how to create strategy, leverage, anticipate, and focus on you. And that's the whole thing that I teach you in that Slay strategy, how to truly break free, how to truly, I've helped literally thousands of people all over the world through my global programs, through my high conflict certification program to teach people how to negotiate, how to deal with the drama, trauma, and chaos, how to coach people through the drama, trauma, and chaos, whether you're a professional, whether you are a person who wants to actually coach, or whether you just want to up level your game and become the authority on it. But whether you want to focus on your personal growth, personal development, cultivate gratitude, cultivate resilience, negotiate and break free, teach other people how to negotiate and break free. It is important for yourself, for your health, for your well-being, your emotional health, and help other individuals navigate high conflict with clarity, with grace. That's the way to do it, and have it become your mission, have it become your purpose. That's the way to do it. All of this are ways that you can put narcissists in their place and really become a spiritual warrior about this. 8 transformative strategies to put narcissists in their place and reclaim your power.